Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back into another edition of Keytime Sports. This is not just any edition, this is the NCAA Men's National College Basketball Sweet 16 edition. But before I get into that, please like, comment, share, subscribe to Keytime Sports right here on YouTube, Key City Sports on Instagram, and the keyonmillions.co. Here is my media feed. Here is my merchandise. We just rolled out new merchandise just last week. And this here is my profile so that you will know it's me. So, NCAA Sweet 16 for the men's tips off tonight at 7 o'clock. What I am going to do is I am going to tell you all about both teams, give you player statistics, give you my predictions, and pretty much tell you all what type of X factors I see. Now, for the first game, we got Texas and Purdue. Now, Purdue has been in this situation for a long time. Purdue has been in this situation consistently. Purdue meets, let's see. Well, first off, let's get into the rosters first. So, everybody, this is the Texas Longhorns roster. I'm going to give everybody a good 5 to 10 seconds to see who is all on the roster. Head coach for the Texas Longhorns basketball team is Sean Miller. Here is the statistics for the Texas Longhorns players per game and season totals. I'm going to give everybody a good 10 seconds to look and digest everything that they are seeing. Here are the season totals, the full season totals. And here is the Purdue matchup. Here are the Purdue Boilermakers. Here is their roster, and their head coach is Matt Painter. Here is the statistics for the Purdue Boilermakers throughout the entirety of the season, player statistics, and per game statistics and season totals for the Purdue Boilermakers. I'm going to give everybody a good 10 seconds to read what you all see as far as season totals and per game totals. Now let's get to the key storylines, and that is where I come in at. They have a segment just for me. Key storylines. Purdue meets Texas for Sweet 16 matchup. Texas Longhorns 21-14, 9-10 SEC versus Purdue Boilermakers 29-8, 17-7 in the Big Ten. San Jose, California tonight, Thursday, 7:10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 4 o'clock Pacific Time. The Purdue Boilermakers are a 7.5 point favorite. Bottom line, Purdue number 8 squares off against Texas in Sweet 16 round of the NCAA tournament. The Boilermakers are 17-7 against Big Ten opponents and 12-1 in non-conference play. Purdue is 4th in the Big Ten, scoring 82.2 points while shooting 50.3% from the floor. The Longhorns are 9-10 against SEC opponents. Texas averages 10.5 turnovers per game and is 8.1 turning the ball over less than opponents. Purdue averages 9.4 made three-pointers per game, 2.6 more made shots than the 6.8 per game Texas gives up. Texas averages 7.3 made three-pointers per game this season, 1.3 fewer made shots on average than the 8.6 per game Purdue gives up. Wow. A lot of points in in that segment. Top performers in this game will be Braden Smith, averaging 14.3 points per game. 9 assists, and 1.7 steals for the Boilermakers. Trey Kaufman is averaging 16.2 points per game and 7.4 rebounds over the last 10 games. Jordan Pope averages 2.3 made three-pointers per game for the Longhorns, scoring 13.1 points per game, while shooting 36.9 points from beyond the arc. Dylan Swain is averaging 16.8 points per game, 8 rebounds, and 3.9 assists over the last 10 games. The last 10 games, Boilermakers 7-3, averaging 8.2 points per game, 29 rebounds, 20.6 assists, 4.7 steals, and 3 blocks per game, while shooting 50.7% from the field. Their opponents have averaged 72.5 points per game. Longhorns last 10, 5-5, averaging 77.2 points per game, 31.4 rebounds, 11.8 assists, 4.6 steals, and 3.7 blocks per game, while shooting 45.9 points from the field. Their opponents average 80.4 points per game. And let me tell y'all the rest of the game point spread. The point spread is Purdue at 7.5. I expect Purdue to win this game and go on to the Elite Eight. The next game I am going to cover on this slate is Iowa versus Nebraska. Now, before I get into Nebraska, here is the roster for the Iowa Hawkeyes. Their head coach is Ben McCullum. Here is the statistics for the Iowa Hawkeyes, the per game statistics. Here is the season totals. I'm going to give everybody a good 10 seconds to look over the season totals and to look over the per game totals. Now, let's go into Nebraska. Nebraska for certain. Come on, guys, put up Nebraska for me. Put up Nebraska for me. Okay, the roster for the Nebraska Cornhuskers. As we can see for the Nebraska Cornhuskers, we see Kendall Blue. And here is the rest of the roster for the Nebraska Cornhuskers. Head coach is Fred Hoiberg. Here is the statistics for the Nebraska Cornhuskers, their per game statistics. The season totals for the Nebraska Cornhuskers. Season totals for the Nebraska Cornhuskers. Give y'all 10 seconds. And now let's get back to my favorite segment of my show, the key storylines. Y'all already know what it is. So, for the key storylines in this game, let's see. Preview: Nebraska Cornhuskers and Iowa Hawkeyes meet in the Sweet 16. Iowa Hawkeyes 23-12, 11-11 in the Big Ten versus Nebraska Cornhuskers 28-6, 15-6 in the Big Ten. Houston, Thursday, tonight, 7:30 p.m. Eastern. The Nebraska Cornhuskers are a 1.5 favorite. Bottom line, number 15, Nebraska and Iowa square off in the NCAA tournament in the Sweet 16. The Cornhuskers have gone 15-6 against Big Ten teams with a 13-0 record in non-conference play. Nebraska averages 9.3 turnovers per game and is 22-1 when it turns the ball over less than its opponents. The Hawkeyes are 11-11 in Big Ten play. Iowa ranks 8th in the Big Ten, shooting 35.1 from three-point range. Nebraska averages 10.6 made three-pointers per game, 4.1 more made shots than the 6.5 per game Iowa gives up. Iowa averages 7.9 made three-pointers per game, 0.8 fewer makes per game than Nebraska allows. Teams square off for the third time this season. Nebraska won the last meeting 84-75 on March 8. Kale Jacobson scored 15 to help lead Nebraska to the win, and Kyle Combs scored 18 points for Iowa. Top performers, Sam Hoiberg is averaging 9.4 points, 5.3 rebounds, 4.4 assists, 2 steals for the Cornhuskers. Price Sanford is averaging 20 points and 5.5 rebounds while shooting 48.9% over the last 10 games. Bennett Swartz averages 2.4 made three-pointers per game for the Hawkeyes, scoring 19.7 points while shooting 35.9% from beyond the arc. Cooper Cock is averaging 10.5 points over the past 10 games. The last 10 games, Cornhuskers 7-3, averaging 70.7 points per game, 30.6 rebounds, 16.8 assists, 7.8 steals, and 2 blocks per game while shooting 45.3% from the field. Their opponents have averaged 63.8 points per game. Hawkeyes 5-5 over the last 10 games, averaging 69.8 points per game, 27 rebounds, 13.6 assists, 5.9 steals, and 1.2 blocks per game while shooting 45.9% from the field. Their opponents have averaged 68.8 points per game. I give the edge to, you know what? I think that I'm going to go against the grain here. I see what Vegas is doing. They putting Iowa as the underdog. But as the underdog, Iowa is going to win this game. Now, one thing that I can say about the Iowa Hawkeyes is they were underdogs versus my Florida Gators. So Iowa was underdogs versus my Florida Gators, and I already told y'all, already ran down a whole big spiel on how I was surprised by that. But one thing that I can say is Iowa, they gonna upset Nebraska. I don't care what Vegas says, because we all know that Vegas wins at the end of the day. But you always got a couple of people that are willing to go out on a limb and stick their heads out and go out on a limb and go against the grain. Now, I got Iowa winning this game. I do. The next game I'm going to cover is going to be, let's see, one thing is the Arizona. One thing that I'm going to get into is the next game, Arizona versus Arkansas. These are the Razorbacks. Here is their roster. Here is the head coach is led by, the head coach is John Calipari. Statistics for the Arkansas Razorbacks. Per game statistics for the Arkansas Razorbacks. Here is the per game statistics. Here is the season totals for the Arkansas Razorbacks. So now let's go on over to Arizona. Now, Arizona is one of those top dogs that when it comes to the Wildcats, head coach Tommy Lloyd. They are led by head coach Tommy Lloyd. Here is the roster for the Arizona Wildcats. Here is the statistics for the Wildcats, per game statistics and the season totals. Now, here are the season totals. I'm going to give everybody a good 10 seconds to look at the season totals and the per game totals. Here is the per game totals. And now, when we get to the storylines for this game. Now, see, everybody knows that storylines, they sell the matchup. Arizona Wildcats take on Arkansas Razorbacks in Sweet 16. Arkansas Razorbacks 28-8, 16-5 SEC versus Arizona Wildcats 34-32, 19-2 in the Big 12. San Jose, California tonight, 9:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 6:45 Pacific Time. So mark your clocks. Bottom line is number 2 Arizona takes on number 14 Arkansas in the Sweet 16 round of the NCAA tournament. Now, the Wildcats are 19-2 against Big 12 opponents and 15-0 in non-conference play. Arizona is the Big 12 leader with 11.8 offensive rebounds per game, led by Toby Akawaka, averaging 3.6. The Razorbacks are 16-5 against SEC opponents. Arizona is second in the SEC, scoring 90.3 points per game and shooting 50.2%. Arizona, they got problems on their hands with Arkansas. Now, I know that Arizona is the betting favorite. Everybody is saying that, Arizona is the big dog since Florida lost to Iowa. Now, one thing that I could say, this really wouldn't be an upset because 1-4 and 1-4, they are playing each other. So this really wouldn't be an upset. But if Arizona somehow loses this game, then the number 1 seed doesn't mean nothing in college basketball anymore. It don't because we would be in a place where we have experienced we have seen multiple number 1s go down in the same year. Now, we've seen that before, but not to this degree. I'm going to keep on going. Arizona makes 50% of its shots from the floor this season, which is 4.7% points higher than Arkansas has allowed to its opponents. 45.3%. Arkansas averages 8.2 made three-pointers per game this season, 0.8 more makes per game than Arizona allows. Top performers, Akawaka is averaging 9.3 points per game, 9.3 rebounds for the Wildcats. Braden Burries is averaging 1.8 made three-pointers over the last 10 games. Darius Akoff Jr. is shooting 48.6% and averaging 23.3 points for the Razorbacks. Malik Thomas is averaging 2 made three-pointers over the last 10 games. The last 10 games for the Wildcats, they've gone undefeated, averaging 81.8 points per game, 38.9 rebounds, 14 assists, 5.3 steals, 4.4 blocks per game, while shooting 48.5% from the floor. Their opponents have average 68 points per game. Razorbacks 9-1, averaging 91.5 points per game, 33.7 points per game, 17.5 assists, 7.3 steals, and 4.7 blocks per game, while shooting 49.6 points a game from the floor. Their opponents have averaged 86 points per game. Now, let me give you the points and the prediction matchup. Now, the prediction matchup, they have the Arizona Wildcats as a 7.5 point favorite. Arizona is going to win this game outright. No matter what goes on, Arizona is going to win this game. And Arizona is going to the Elite Eight. The next game I am going to cover, and I'm pretty much at the end of this segment for the Thursday frame. Now I'm going to get into the Friday frame after I cover Illinois and Houston. So the Illinois Fighting Illini, their roster consists of these players. Their head coach is Brad Underwood. So statistics for the Fighting Illini is going to be per game totals. And I am going to give everybody a good 10 seconds to see these per game totals and season totals. Now, let's shift on over to the Houston Cougars. The Houston Cougars roster consists of these players. And the head coach is Kelvin Sampson. Statistics for the Houston Cougars are Kingston Fleming's per game stats. Season totals for the Houston Cougars are right here. Good 10 seconds. And now let me get to my segment of this game. And it is going to be the key storylines for this game. Houston Cougars square off against Illinois Fighting Illini in the Sweet 16. Illinois Fighting Illini 26-8. Houston Cougars 30-6. Houston Thursday, 10:05 p.m. Bottom line is number 5, Houston takes on number 13, Illinois in the Sweet 16. The Cougars have gone 16-5 against Big 12 opponents with a 14-1 record in non-conference play. Houston is 1-2 in one possession games. The Fighting Illini record is Big 10 play. It is 15-6. Illinois ranks 6th in college basketball with 37.9 rebounds per game, led by David Markovich, averaging 7.9 points per game. Houston scores 77.5 points per game, 8.1 more per game than the 69.4 Illinois gives up. Illinois averages 11 made three-pointers per game this season, 4.2 more made shots on average than the 6.8 per game Houston allows. Performers, Kingston Flemings is shooting 47.8% and averaging 6.2 points. For the Cougars, Emmanuel Sharp is averaging 12.5 points per game. The last 10 games, Keaton Ragler is shooting 45%, and averaging 17.8 points per game. For the Fighting Illini, Ben Hemerichus, and that's his name. Ben Hemerichus is averaging 2 made three-pointers over the last 10 games. Last 10 games, Cougars are 7-3, averaging 67.5 points, point 0.5 points per game, 34.1 rebounds, 12.5 assists, 6.6 steals, and 3.7 blocks per game, while shooting 44.7 points per game from the floor. Their opponents have averaged 63.9 points per game. Fighting Illini is 6-4 in their last 10, averaging 85.3 points per game, 36.3 rebounds, 14.8 assists, 4 steals, and 3.9 blocks per game, while shooting 46.6 from the field. Their opponents have averaged 79.2 points per game. And we are going to go back to the point spread of this game. 2 points, 2.5 points. Houston is going to win this game, no matter what. For the Friday slate of games, this is going to be the last. This is going to be the last frame of this, and then the show is going to be over. So, I got a couple more games to talk about. Exactly 4. Now, this is the Friday slate. St. John's versus Duke. Now, I am already going to just go on ahead and say that Duke is going to win. Now, before I made my prediction on this game, so I'm just going to give y'all the roster for the St. John's Red Storm. And head coach is Rick Pitino. Statistics for St. John's is, well, these are the players that consist of the per game statistics and the season totals. And let's look on over to Duke. Here is Duke's roster. Head coach is John Shire. Here is the statistics for all the Duke Blue Devil players, per game statistics and season statistics. Now let's get to the storylines of this game. We can pretty much say hand on hand that this game is for the Duke Blue Devils to take. Duke Blue Devils take on St. John Red Storm in Sweet 16. St. John Red Storm 30-6, Blue Devils 34-2. Bottom line, number 1 Duke and number 10 St. John's play in NCAA tournament. The Duke Blue Devils have gone 20-1 against ACC opponents for a 14-1 record in non-conference play. Duke is 8th in college basketball at 37.5 rebounds, led by Cameron Boozer, averaging 10.3. Red Storm are 21-2 in Big East play. St. John's is 2-1 in one possession games. Duke makes 48.9% of its shots from the field this season, which is 6.9% points higher than St. John's has allowed to its opponents. St. John's averages 7.1 made three-pointers per game this season. 0.9 fewer makes per game than Duke gives up. Top performers, Isaiah Evans is shooting 35.8% from beyond the arc with 2.7 made three-pointers per game for the Blue Devils, while averaging 15 points. Boozer is shooting 50.4%, averaging 21.3 points over the last 10 games. Zuby Ejiofor is averaging 16.3 points, 7.3 rebounds, 3.5 assists, and 2.2 blocks for the Red Storm. Bryce Hopkins is averaging 12.5 points and 6.9 rebounds over the last 10 games. Last 10 games for the Duke Blue Devils, they've gone 10-0, averaging 73.9 points per game, 39.2 rebounds, 15 assists, 55.9 steals, and 2.8 blocks per game, while shooting 45.8 points per game. From the field, their opponents have averaged 62.8 points per game. Red Storm, 9.1, averaging 73.5 points per game, 34.6 rebounds, 16.3 assists, 6.9 steals, and 5.1 blocks per game, while shooting 43.1%. From the floor, their opponents have averaged 62.5 points per game. And I've already told you all that I got Duke winning this game. Let's go on over to the next game. And it is Alabama Crimson Tide versus the Michigan Wolverines. I think that Michigan will win this game, but Alabama is going to give Michigan a fight. So I got Michigan winning this game. Here is the roster for Alabama head coach Nate Oates. Give everybody a good 10 seconds to see this roster. Here are the statistics for Alabama, per game statistics. Give everybody 10 seconds to read it. Season totals, give everybody 10 seconds to read it. And now we get to Michigan. Michigan's statistics for this game. Roster consists of these players. Head coach is Dusty May. Statistics for the Michigan Wolverines. Per game statistics. Here is per game statistics. Here is the season totals for the Michigan Wolverines. Now, the key storylines for this game is Michigan and Alabama square off in the Sweet 16. Michigan 33-3. Alabama Crimson Tide 25-9. Bottom line, number 3 and number 18 Alabama play in NCAA tournament. The Wolverines have gone 21-2 Big Ten opponents with a 12-1 record in non-conference play. Michigan has a 26-0 record in games decided by 10 points, at least 10 points. The Crimson Tide are 13-6 in SEC play. Alabama ranks third in the SEC, shooting 36% from three. Michigan averages 9.2 made three-pointers per game, 1.1 more made shots than 8.1 than the 8.1 per game Alabama gives up. Alabama has shot at a 45.8% clip from the field this season, 7.1% above the 38.7% shooting opponents of Michigan have averaged. Top performers, Laxel Lindyborg is scoring 14.7 points per game and averaging 6.9 rebounds for the Wolverines. A.D. Mara is averaging 13.9 points per game and 6.3 rebounds over the last 10 games. Liberian Phelan is averaging 21.6 points and 5 assists for the Crimson Tide. Latrell Wrightsell Jr. is averaging 14.5 points over the last 10 games. Last 10 games, Wolverines 8-2, averaging 79.2 points, 33 rebounds, 16.7 assists, 4.3 steals, 5.9 blocks per game, while shooting 50.3 from the field, 50.3% from the floor. Their opponents have averaged 71.7 points per game. Crimson Tide 8-2, averaging 91 points, 36.5 rebounds, 16 assists, 6.2 steals, and 3.4 blocks per game while shooting 46.6% from the floor. Their opponents have averaged 81.4 points. And here is the point spread for this game, 9.5. It started out at 10.5, so Las Vegas is expecting a more closer game, but Michigan will win in the end. I only have 2 more games left. UConn and Michigan State. I got UConn winning this game. I'm going to give you all the storylines for this game. The rosters. Here is the Michigan State Spartans roster. Head coach is Tom Izzo. Here is the roster, statistics for the Michigan State Spartans, per game statistics, and season totals. And let's go on over to the UConn Huskies. Now, UConn Huskies, they always see themselves in this situation. They are always in this situation, it seems like, year after year. Now, here is who is on the UConn Huskies as far as their roster. Head coach is Dan Hurley. Statistics for the UConn Huskies, per game statistics. I'm going to give everybody a good 10 seconds to look at this and see who is all on the roster so you will know who. Season totals. Give everybody 10 seconds to look and see season totals. Now, let's get to the storylines for this particular matchup. UConn and Michigan State meet in Sweet 16. Michigan State Spartans 27-7, 15-6 Big Ten. UConn Huskies 31-5. Bottom line, number 7, UConn, and number 11, Michigan State, is set to meet in NCAA Tournament Sweet 16. The Huskies have gone 19-4 against Big East opponents with a 12-1 record in non-conference play. UConn is third in the Big East in rebounding with 33.4 rebounds. Terrace Reed Jr. paces with the Huskies with 8.9. Spartans are 15-6 in Big Ten play. Michigan State scores 79.3 points and has outscored opponents by 10.9 points per game. UConn averages 8.2 made three-pointers this season, is just 0.4 fewer made shots on average than the 8.6 per game Michigan State allows. Michigan State has shot at a 47.4% rate from the floor this season, 7.2% points greater than the 40.2% shooting opponents of UConn have averaged. Top performers, Reed is scoring 14.2 points per game and averaging 8.9 rebounds, for the Huskies. Alex Karaban is averaging 2 made three-pointers over the last 10 games. Jeremy Fears Jr. is averaging 15.3 points and 9.4 assists for the Spartans. Cohen Carr is averaging 13.4 points over the last 10 games. Last 10 games, Huskies 7-3, averaging 72.9 points per game, 34.1 points per game. 34.1 rebounds, 18.1 assists, 6.3 steals, and 4.5 blocks per game, while shooting 46.2% from the field. Their opponent have averaged 64.8 points per game. Spartans 7.3 points, averaging 79.6 points per game, 32.5 rebounds, 18.9 assists, 4.0 steals, and 3.6 blocks per game, while shooting 48.2% from the floor. Their opponents have averaged 75 points. Now, the point spread for this game is 1.5. I just said before I got into this, I said UConn would win this game, and I'm sticking to that prediction. The last game that I am going to cover, and this segment is going to be done for the Thursday and Friday segments of the NCAA Sweet 16. So, Tennessee Volunteers roster. This is who consists of the Tennessee Volunteers basketball roster. Head coach is Rick Barnes. Statistics for the Volunteers are per game statistics for the Volunteers. Season totals. Well, I'm going to give everybody a good 10 seconds for everybody to look at the per game statistics for the Tennessee Volunteers. Season totals for the Tennessee Volunteers. And we can go on over to Iowa State Cyclones. Now, the Iowa State Cyclones, I talked about them last week. Here are the Iowa State Cyclones. Here is their roster. Head coach is TJ Oates-Zellberger. Here is the statistics for the Iowa State Cyclones. Iowa State Cyclones per game statistics. Give everybody a good 10 seconds. Season totals for the Iowa State Cyclones. Give everybody a good 10 seconds. And now for the final key storyline for the Sweet 16 is going to be the Tennessee Volunteers and Iowa State and Tennessee square off in Sweet 16. Tennessee 24-11. Iowa State Cyclones 27-9. Bottom line, number 6 Iowa State and number 23 Tennessee play in the NCAA tournament Sweet 16. The Cyclones are 14-7 against Big 12 opponents and 15-0 in non-conference play. Iowa State has had a 25-3 record in games decided by 10 points or more. Volunteers are 12-8 against SEC opponents. Tennessee is third in college basketball with 39.2 rebounds per game, led by Nate Amon, averaging 6.4. Iowa makes 49% of its shots from the floor this season, which is 8.3 percentage points higher than Tennessee has allowed to its opponents. 40.7 points. Tennessee scores 14.1 more points per game, 79.4 than Iowa State gives up. opponents to 65.3. Top performers, Miljan Kolovic averages 3.7 made three-pointers per game for the Cyclones, scoring 17.2 points while shooting 49.1 points from beyond the arc. Joshua Jefferson is averaging 16.4 points, 7.4 rebounds, 4.8 assists, and 1.6 steals over the last 10 games. Jacoby Gillespie is averaging 18.4 points, 5.6 assists, and 2.1 steals for the Volunteers. Outmint is averaging 1.1 made three-pointers over the last 10 games. Last 10 games, Cyclones 6-4, averaging 79.6 points, 29.7 rebounds, 15.7 assists, 9.7 steals, and 2 blocks per game, while shooting 45.3% from the field. Their opponents have averaged 67.2 points per game. Volunteers 6-4, averaging 75.3 points, 36.4 rebounds, 15.9 assists, 7.1 steals, and 4.1 blocks per game, while shooting 45.3% from the floor. Their opponents have averaged 68.5 points per game. Now, for the Iowa State Cyclones, they are a 4.5 point favorite. Now it's down to a 3.5 point favorite. And now I would not be surprised if Tennessee wins this game, but I got Iowa State Cyclones winning this game and heading to the Elite Eight. And with that, those are my predictions for the Sweet 16, tonight's frame of the Sweet 16, and tomorrow night's frame of the NCAA Sweet 16. So please like, comment, share, subscribe to Keytime Sports right here on YouTube, Key City Sports on Instagram, and the keyonmillions.co. Here's my profile. Here is my merchandise. We just had new merchandise within the last week right here. Everything, when you purchase the shirts and the compression joggers, it will be delivered right to your door. All processing, shipping, and handling is free. And here is my media feed. And remember, everybody, one last thing, the key is always on time.